right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Good day, everyone. Good day to you, wherever you might be, whether it is you catch this on the live or later on the playback. I appreciate it just the same. And I'm coming to you today. First of all, before we get started, though, I want to give praise and high honors to the Most High, otherwise known as the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and his works at building a nation. And to those of you out there who are subscribed to the tenets thereof and who are most industrious in whatever efforts that you embark upon. You know, being industrious is a part of it and a part of your standing. And I commend those of you out there who are and have the capability to be as industrious as you can be. In this day and age of right now, which is, you know, where we are right now with things being how they are, situations being how they are, and it's my belief, my opinion, which I tend to express on this channel, that we are still in civil unrest and civil distress, rather. Whew. Anyway, yeah, just starting out my day today. I've returned. Hold on a second. I have returned after a bit of an absence, kind of stepped away from it for a while, a bit of a while. I mean, I've been circulating on social media and other ways through print, you know, with the other accounts that I operate. I won't necessarily say they're my accounts. I won't necessarily say that, but, you know, I've been kind of down lately. First of all, I am extremely grateful for each day that I'm given. I'm grateful for each day that I'm given. I'm grateful for the relationships in my life that I have, people that I've met, people that I've known for a lot of years, and people that I've met through this space. By the way, this is a virtual space, so you don't really know that I'm actually live or not, do you? But I am. I'm live. And I'll take off the lens cap if anyone joins the show. You know, I'm inviting people to join me, but this is pretty much it's not a first effort. I've been doing this on and off for a number of years. But anyway, I've entitled this show "Resetting the Carom Board." Resetting the Carom Board. Those of you who grew up like I did, that played caroms or actually participated in after-school programs, would know what I'm talking about. See, nowadays, you know, the children have video games and such, whereas back during the time that I grew up, we had video games. I mean, I lived in an era. I like to say I've lived in an era, you know, which is right on the fence between analog and digital. Okay, so I've had to adapt to a digital way of life, which is what this is, and a lot of it is virtual, as we know, and scan through the feed and see people doing stuff that's, well, it's pretty stupid, stupid stuff. But hopefully this isn't stupid to you, as I'm coming across here today, trying to communicate myself to those of you who are taking a listen with whatever I have to say today, which may not be much, or I may, you know, go on a tangent. I have a tendency to do that at times because I'm always thinking, right? I'm always thinking of things. I'm thinking of ways on how to function within and through this existence, as I have come to acknowledge who it is I am, more so as I've reached a certain age, after you know, going through life and going through the struggles of career and trying to achieve a livelihood, only to realize I've led a dead existence in the eyes of a lot of people. Not only a lot of people, but in the sense of living a certain way that was, I guess, subservient subservient to an entire establishment structure. So you have organizations that an organization that started off as a civic organization, excuse me, it's that time of year, folks. Um, Hay fever season, I guess you can say. And happy vernal equinox or spring season to everybody out there. By the way, what I call this the real new year because everything's resetting. And I actually hope that you like the screen cap right there in the middle of the screen. Um, I ran across it recently, and I actually modified it so it work out best for me. So it's actually what is an avatar, right? Yeah. Well, what I'm looking to do is not waste your time. What I'm looking to do is just speak on a few things, hopefully relevant subject matter to you and your lives. Those of you who have an interest, or those of you who have declared yourselves as Moors in America, Moorish American, American Moor, what have you. Al Morakan, if I'm saying that right. Because there seems to be some, I guess, I want to say consternation if I'm using the word right, but there seems to be some issue with it, depending on where you stand around certain people in your life. It's fair to say that I've possibly lost friendships, or friendships have been modified in such a way, well, that they're no longer enhanced. It's quite possible they weren't my friends in the first place. But what I said earlier about feeling a little bit down, not necessarily low vibration, but I felt kind of in a depressed state of mind. Nothing rash, but a depressed state of mind because of things that I don't know, or leading a life in a certain way throughout a certain age, thinking that you're fulfilling certain expectations. Because I was always raised to be a marketable member of society, but that society wasn't necessarily the Moorish society. It was being black in America. In more recent years, I've come into increased consciousness of myself and realizing that the term black was less of an attribute, more of something to my detriment, which kept me in a certain space. When I thought I was just achieving a livelihood and starting a family and getting what you thought would be the more productive trappings of life as a marketable adult. I'm not necessarily beating myself up for it, but I've led my life a certain way, only to find out that it took me from my natural self. So I've tended to try to devote the time, and excuse me, I'm going to probably have to mute the mic every so often just to cough and sneeze or whatever, because I don't want to sneeze with the open mic, but excuse me. Actually clear my throat and have a swig of some coffee. But there's a bunch of notes I can go over, peruse through, and that I would like to share throughout this broadcast and conversation. And just to be clear, I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for fans. I'm not looking. This is just a virtual space where an individual like me who feels like they want to be able to express themselves, excuse me, have the ability and the possibility to express themselves can. But we know that there's limitations to that, right? I'm pretty sure, and I'm not necessarily paranoid about it, but I'm pretty sure I might have sent off my share of red flags, websites I've visited. As a matter of fact, I've got some tabs open right now that I want to read over today. And I'm not, please, I mean, regardless of what you might think or believe, because it's not necessarily that I don't care what people think, but I don't care what people think. But I'm not jumping on the train of let's bash people that are in the Moorish society that are speaking out on one side versus the other. But to touch in on that, I actually have one foot on one side and one foot on the other. I'm neutral to this whole thing. I'm neutral to this whole thing, even though I do have some skin in the game. Pardon the pun, but I do have some skin in the game here because it's about the way that you decide to function and exist, function in this existence rather, and to try to, I guess, I see this is the trouble I have. I want to just say I say these words to you because I'm using contemporary vernacular. I'm using contemporary vernacular, contemporary parlance. Okay, so excuse me if I'm actually making some. Hold on a second. Please excuse me if I'm making some grammatical errors here, and I might be off the mark etymologically because I don't walk around with the etymology dictionary in my pocket. I do have a pretty decent grasp of the English language. Um, I'm a fairly decent writer. Actually used to have to write as a part of my vocation. As a matter of fact, I've had to write legal paper during the course of my duties and assignment that I once worked, which I won't really dwell upon because it's been over a decade since I've worked at that capacity. But I have a number of things to go over here. And the one thing that jumps out to me is as I ask myself this question, do I want to fulfill a mission or do I want to create my own ministry? Mission or ministry when it comes to taking this walk within the Moorish society. And I'm kind of apprehensive and reluctant to say Moorish movement. And that's not a slight to anybody. It's just my personal opinion, which can change because opinions can vary broadly, largely, or not with very much deviation at all. But it's my opinion that, well, this is a movement that's not moving or we're moving backward. But just this past couple of weeks alone, I've been witnessing some conflict. And it's occurred to me that it's nothing new. It's nothing new for groups, certain groups to certain tribes, confederations, groups of people to disagree. It's actually common. It's actually rather healthy, to be honest, as long as it doesn't become destructive, as long as it doesn't become personally harmful. You're not going to have everybody on board with everything that you believe. So it's important for everyone to reach their own level of understanding, which is what I have been trying to do in addition to living out regular everyday life. And I say living again in the contemporary sense because I know, in a certain perspective, you know, I'm living a life that's considered dead, right? But on my birth certificate, it showed my father's occupation. And if I were to share the job title with you, I never had a chance anyway. So I needed to take the road that I took in order to get further down the road or further in life within within this experience, within this space, in this occupation, as it's called, I guess, as I consider it to be, because when you really look at things, not only are you subjugated, not only are you subservient, not only are you rendered to being a minion. And it's funny because I saw I watched a lot of documentaries. I watched a documentary the other night with the title. I think it's called American Factory. I think it was called Factory or something like that. It was on Netflix, and it was about um, a CEO of a glass maker from China, a CEO from China that had a corporation that made glass for motor vehicles. Right. It was a former GM plant in Dayton, Ohio that they took over. The plant closed in um, 2008, I think it was. The plant had closed and it displaced over 2,000 people, Dayton, Ohio, after the factory shut down. Anyway, this group of Chinese folks moved in, took over the factory, hired a bunch of people, the local people mostly. And the point that I'm making is, man, I forgot what point I was making. I didn't even jot that down for notes. Oh my goodness, because I went off the rails because I was actually on another point and I went to another one. But anyway, it happens. It happens, y'all. I apologize for that because I was actually getting ready to take a break and get my paperwork together because I got some notes I took. But yeah, mission or ministry um, is my purpose in talking to y'all today. I'm trying to determine for myself. So far, I've not much to offer um, to the mission, which is, you know, to be more industrious, um, to encourage empowerment of our people, to help support our people in any way that I can. But I haven't been able to work towards that because of my own situation. I haven't been able to reach a certain level in my life in order to be more of a contributor to the collective. But I'm not trying to be that hard on myself about it because, and at the same time, I don't believe in victimhood either. There's those of you that are out here that are doing a lot more than I am. There's those of you out here on these streets that are able to contribute more knowledge, more information, um, consumer goods. Those of you out there that are entrepreneurs that are supporting the bottom line, not only for yourselves, but for others. And I commend those of you out there doing it. I'm not here to lambaste anybody. I'm not here to call anybody out. I'm not here to point anybody out. That's not my role. So you'll not necessarily hear me say names unless it's to recount something that was officially documented or not. Because it's not my goal. It's never been my goal to get on here on social media and engage in argument. It's never been my goal to do that. It's never been my purpose. I find, I mean, you can get into constructive discussion, you know, logical discussion, reasonable discussion. I know I can be reasonable. I know I can be tolerant. I can tolerate a lot. I have. I've had to mediate disputes before in the past. I've been, I've had experiences where I've had to think on my feet. So I'm experienced with that. But the last thing that I want to do on social media is get into an unproductive debate or some kind of, vacant argument over nothing that's going to have any tangible consequence. So that's why I tend to think and believe that, everyone has their point of view. And I plan to project that in the coming, days and hopefully weeks and months as I hope to this time stick with it. So those of you know who you are, that you're out there and you're speaking about um, more science. Whether it is you're actually a representative of a temple, um, or not, or just at large, somebody in the public at large. Whether you operate in the private, or or you operate with 1 foot in or 1 foot out, like myself. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's been a hard road for me. I mean, it really has been. I am. Well, there's one benefit that, and I don't really mean to get that personal because I don't want to do that because there's a lot of stuff on here. It's not anybody's business. I mean, well, a lot of people share a little bit too much, I think. But some of us do receive public benefit. I know I do. And just as an open declaration to kind of clear the carom board or reset the carom board, 'cause caroms was a game that I played and I loved playing after school. And I went to public school all my life, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what it's worth to you. But dang, I'm having these moments. These I don't like to call them senior moments, but there's just so much that's on my mind that I would like to talk about and express to you all. And there's some things that I'm actually a bit discreet about. Some time ago, probably going on about 3 years back, I had friends that were encouraging me to get out here and do this, to get out here on social media, to have conversations, you know, with people online, build an audience. And I can't say that I've been too successful with that endeavor, but I'm trying. Just another voice. I need to check something out real quick. Hold on one sec. Yeah, I'm still here. So I'm trying to see. These headphones are, let me see, someone turn this up. Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 3. Check, 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 check. All right. My sound meter. Hold on. One. There we go. All right. Yeah. I'm looking at this. Yeah, there we go. I'm looking at this my light panel here for my sound. I actually I go back and forth between headphones and using an external speaker. And I'm looking down at my panel. I'm noticing the light for the right channel isn't quite coming on. So, and I don't expect for any of you to tell me that things aren't working out. Those of you that might be listening, that if you're having trouble hearing or anything like that, let me know during the broadcast, and we'll see what we can do to tune it up. I do welcome comments to the comment box. Should you like to leave one, please do. You're welcome to leave a comment. By the way, my given name is Adolf, which denotes to noble. And my mother named me, and I have to give credit to my mother because I'm the product of a teenage mother, and having my mother having the presence of mind to name me Noble or Adolf, not Young Dolph. I mean, rest in paradise to that young man. And I wasn't named after the person that you would think I was named after. This name has existed within my family tree well before the notorious uh, leader, notorious dictator. Anyway, that's that. I want to give a shout out to somebody. I don't know if they're comfortable with it, but it's someone that actually is identified as a grand sheik for a temple in the Northeast. Brother Azim Bey. I was listening to him the other night on a panel, and among other things he said, there's one thing that stood out to me that he said, and I'm going to quote him right here. Hope he doesn't mind. Knowledge isn't meant to be weaponized. Knowledge isn't meant to be weaponized. And that resonated with me because quite often we get on these social medias here on the interwebs and we like to engage in conflict. And that's actually a deviation of, you know, as against what we're supposed to do. It's against the tenets that were spelled out by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I'm not saying that I'm not a devout follower, but I'm working on that. I'm working on that. I'm working on, um, subscribing to what he intended for us as a people. All this, all of what most of what he's done during his period of time that he was alive has been documented. And then afterward, I guess you can say that just a figure of speech, people have picked up the torch and carried on. But there's conflict right now. If you've been following, I don't want to say group because I don't want to minimize it, but if you've been following along for any length of time, probably within the past few months to past year or two, maybe like I have, you'll see that things are in a flux and have been. And I've personally have gotten frustrated because there's so much to know. I mean, and I've had people to tell me that, it's actually quite simple. Only that it doesn't seem simple to me, only because you're changing your entire psyche to accept something that happened pretty much in the past, and you're trying to get it to shape your future. And that's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. It's really too hard to get people to change and pivot within the paradigm and to accept a new paradigm. Even though that you're held captive, even though some people will say that you have Stockholm syndrome, you know, that may be so. I don't necessarily consider myself to have Stockholm syndrome. And part of my reasons, I want to say that part of my reasons that I've had issues with employers is because something inside of me has said that this isn't right. You're working for somebody else. You're not necessarily working for yourself. You're working to get things, and you're not necessarily working to build up the betterment of your own people and of yourself. But I don't know. I'll digress here. Let me see. I did have some notes. And I might have to pull. You know what? I'm going to pull this up here as I fumble around, get things set, and try to figure this out. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure those of you have it more figured out than I do. But all right. So, yeah, you might even see um this handle in certain spaces. I'm not saying to look for it necessarily, but I'm just letting you know, that what's behind me now. A lot of things are behind me now in this space. What's behind me now is people that have casted me as an agent or something like that. I don't really care anymore. I'm here pretty much every day. Every day, every morning that I wake up to start my day off. I'm thinking about Moorish consciousness. I'm thinking about how much consciousness I have as a Moor, and it's nothing that I went to get. It's something I'm trying to get the knowledge. I'm trying to form the knowledge base, the basis of knowledge and understanding, so I could be at the point confident enough where I could share this with people, with other people that I care about, right? And I think that's a lot of what's gotten me down. A lot of what's gotten me down about it is, well, some of the information, even though it's out there in print, you don't know what necessarily to fully believe or to fully buy into. Because let's be honest, there's people out here in this space. in more society that have misrepresented it. And I'm not saying that to be negative or come down on anybody, because it's just my lack of understanding of it, right? They could be full well credible, have shown and proved how much they know. And it's perhaps I don't fully understand it. I can't fully, I've not fallen into the complete realm of it and what it all is involving, right? As I try to assume my affairs on the day to day. And it's a bit complex, partly because maybe I've made it complex. The other part maybe is because others have made it complex too. So what matters most is working on self, as I understand it, is opening up your mind and realizing that all this is truly just an intrinsic endeavor. It's all based on being natural. It's all based on subscribing to what is natural, the natural law within you. And empowerment starts in the home. Empowerment starts within you. I heard it voiced as recently as last night that civics, study of civics starts in the home. And that's when I had an aha moment. I had an aha. I get those a lot, but I had an aha moment as recently as last night when I was viewing a panel discussion, and I said I wasn't going to mention anybody. I apologize, but I'm not going to mention anybody in a bad way. Okay, if I do mention people, it's going to be in a constructive manner, in a manner consistent of respect, warm regard, and decorum. Right? I'm not here to tear anything down. I'm not here to be an agent provocateur. I'm not here to attack anybody, because that will be against the Circle Seven. I'm not here to quote any of the scripture with you either, because I'm still studying that. Studies in progress and ongoing every day. So knowledge isn't meant to be weaponized. It's not a reality show that we're actually crafting here, going out here. Even it's not a virtual reality show where we're going out here attacking one another over a disagreement of opinion or a disagreement of perspective or disagreement of processes. I believe we should be here to help one another. And unfortunately, well, the help being extended by some people, the help that's being offered costs money. It's something I'm wrapping my head around. But there's some things I could probably do myself. I could probably write my own papers. I could write my own briefs. But it's a matter of finding someone to consult with in order to achieve that goal. It's not that I'm being cheap. It's that I'm not doing very well right now, folks, financially. And when I started this last time, I was doing this vlog or broadcasting, whatever you might want to call it. I was trying to see if people would help me out by posting a Cash App and that. I decided not to do that anymore, at least for the time being, until I can offer a product, until I can offer substance, until I can offer content. I mean, it's not in my place for me to ask for people to dig in their pockets to support what I'm doing when they're not getting anything from it. So I'm not going to be one of those people, and I'm not knocking the hustle. I'm not knocking the hustle, because there's those of you out there that are, that are asking for monies to keep things going, and that's fine. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't turn down anything voluntary at all. I mean, I even started a Patreon account, but I don't have any content. I admit to you, I don't. I mean, it's not that I don't have any content. I haven't formatted it yet to be a product for people to consume. So there's that. But a lot of this stuff that a lot of the confusion that comes with me has to do with the information, not necessarily that I'm dismissing the information as far as natural law goes, as far as civics, as far as legal definitions referenced in the Law Library books or Law Dictionary, rather, Black's Law Dictionary, and the others. I'm not dismissing that at all because those were the foundation in which modern day contemporary jurisprudence goes by. That was the very foundation of everything that we do today. But at the same time, the question looms in my mind: have a lot of these definitions been adjusted for this contemporary space or not? Because words, yes, words are spells and words are devised to sway people, to influence people, to persuade people to do things or not. But one has to wonder what words apply, when words apply, how they apply. Studying linguistics. I mean, each and every time, I don't want to feel that. Oh, bumped into the mic. I don't want to feel that each and every time that I speak, I have to look up every word that I say. I mean, that's how kind of how confusing it tended to get for me. You know, when you listen to some people out here in this space and they're saying that English is a bastard language. But what English is, and I'm not a defender of English, but English is a cornucopia of different languages. It's a stew of different languages. It's a melting pot, even though a melting pot doesn't mean it's something beneficial either. I mean, when you use put it in the context melting pot, a societal melting pot versus a mixed salad. It's old phrase I used to use when I used to actually teach. I used to give classes about what was it about? It was about racial profiling and stereotyping. I used to give courses on that. Actually, well, I was volunteered to do it, but not that it's old information. You know, it's stuff that actually could be used today. But anyway, it's just a matter of understanding the context of things as you approach how you're going to live out your life. I'm trying to avoid being distressed anymore. I'm trying to combat being depressed anymore about our conditions collectively, about my situation personally as an individual. I'm trying to not be angry. I'm trying to not carry a chip on my shoulder that we as a people have been deprived and have had our blood right stolen from us. I mean, true, we are of separate tribes, different circles that we run, different bodies politic, if you will, even among different groups of consciousness people or the conscious folks. It runs the gamut, doesn't it? I think it does. You have many that have made a platform out of it, very lucrative platform out of it. Am I hating on those people? No, because I learned from them as well. We can all learn from each other. We can all learn from each other. And that's what each and all of us need to do, because in order for this to be a cycle, because everything in life happens pursuant and within a cycle, from fashion to music to a lot of things that go on in society in a cultural sense. So I'm starting to get it, I think. I'm starting to develop and foster additional understanding of where I am in this walk. And I'm trying to do my best to maintain an even keel as I try to right my own ship and be my best self first and foremost, as I'm overhearing the neighbors get into a bit of a dispute, overhearing voices. I don't know if you could pick that up. But these are trying times right now, everybody, as we well know. Really trying times. And it's best to just try and keep your eyes open. I'm trying to anyway. Let's see. Should I take a break before I go further? I think I might. You know what I'm gonna do is nah, I'm not gonna. You know what? I'm gonna do a part two here. I've gone on for about 40, well, maybe short of 45 minutes. I'm at the 45-minute mark now. I'm gonna take a bit of a break, but I'm gonna actually end the broadcast out. And I'm gonna come back on in about maybe about a half hour and pick up where I left off. Resetting the Carom board. And this is me, Man Noble, Man Noble TV. Be back.